officially the last little story in the Predator Original Years Volume 1 Omnibus, which is from Dark Horse Presents 119. This is called No Beast So Fierce. And it's basically this woman wants revenge. It's another, I believe, in Africa, Congo slash Savannah story, which I do like these. I wish there had been like a more with this. Maybe there is more with this concept. Well, she wants revenge on this beast that killed her husband. She's gotten a team together to hunt it down and kill it. And then there's a Yautja involved, and that's about all I'll say about it. It's fine. I give it a good like a 3 out of 5. It's okay. It's nice in black and white, and I did like that. I do like a Predator story in black and white on occasion. But let's talk about this omnibus as a whole, because we're at the end of this, and this was kind of a mixed bag. I want to start doing this when I finish an omnibus that has so many different aspects to it. And just really talk about who this is for. Because these omnibuses are very expensive. They're not for the faint of heart when it comes to shelling out money. Alright? Sure, you can probably get a deal on some of these on a site like In Stock Trades. Especially if you buy a couple of them at once, you can get a good deal and a good deal on shipping. But the Marvel omnibuses are very sought after. They're very collectible, and the reason really is that Marvel binds their omnibuses the best of any company. DC's omnibuses, let me tell you, if they are big, buy a digital copy too. I'm dead serious. Buy a digital. I mean, I like to double dip on any omnibus simply because not this size. There's another size, like the Marvel Star Wars original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 3 is a prime example of it's just a little too heavy for me to feel comfortable, even with the binding as good as the Marvel ones are, and they've gotten better with time. I don't want the binding breaking and pages falling out. Like, I'm very particular about that stuff. I remember Dark Horse back in the day released an omnibus, which was the biggest one I have ever owned, and it was for Sin City. It was called Big Damn Sin City. And the thing was almost 13 pounds, as I recall. I weighed it on a human scale, not like a scale like you do for food prep, a human scale. And it was so heavy it registered. And Big Damn Sin City, I had to read it propped up with throw pillows. And I would lay prone, either on my bed or on the floor, and read it. And it was just really uncomfortable to read like that. So I recommend, like, if you're getting a physical copy of one of these, get a digital copy too. Like, just budget for that in general. Not all of them do. Like, for instance, Punisher Back to the War, that doesn't have a digital copy. They never did that. But these days, you can get a Kindle version. They aren't cheap either. They're expensive for Kindle. They usually run about $40. Whereas something like this retails for $125 American. But like I said, these are for hardcore fans of Predator. This is for the hardcore Predator fan, like I am. I love collecting this sort of thing, and that's why I budget for it. But I'll say this about it, and you can look at my previous reviews. Not everything's great in here. In fact, as I said in the last review for Kindred, it's been a decline. I mean, Kindred was a little better than some of the other stuff in here, but we've had some pretty bad things in here. But I'm going to give, in no particular order, kind of my top 5 stories that I recommend out of this one. I would recommend Concrete Jungle, of course. It's just a great introduction, especially if you've never seen Predator 2. If you only seen the first movie and you go into Concrete Jungle, it's really fun. It just adds another element to it. That's fun. And by that extent, Cold War. Not as good as Concrete Jungle, but it adds some new stuff from Predator 2. Um, the short story 1718 I recommend. Even though it's not canon anymore with Prey being a film, it's still well worth your time. It has some of the best art that Dark Horse has ever done, and I stand by that. It's a gorgeous little short story. Um, I would also recommend Big Game. Big Game, I think, is the best of everything in this. It's the best story. It's one of the best Predator stories of all time. It's one of my personal favorites, I think. Big Game, the whole time reading it, I had a grin ear to ear. And then from that same extent, Blood at Two Mesa, that sequel Dark Horse Presents short story, is also a nice epilogue to this. It's setting up more things in the future. Also, The Bloody Sands of Time is pretty good. It's a pretty good 2-issue mini. Dealing with the idea from Predator 2 that the Yautja have been coming here for centuries. And here's an example of it in the Great War, or the War to End All Wars, World War One, which horrible war, and I'm shocked there aren't more World War One and World War Two Predator stories. And one of my, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to leave this in. One of my cats just threw up on the floor. I don't even know which one, but it's in here, just around the corner. So I get to clean that up afterwards. But probably thinking of Predator Strange Rue. What a terrible story. That's the worst of the worst in here, I must say. Though Bad Blood is incredibly overrated. So let's go into a little bit of skipping stuff. What I'd recommend, if you aren't the biggest Predator fan, but you do love collecting Marvel omnibuses, what should you skip? I would skip Bad Blood. I would skim some of the Dark Horse Presents and Dark Horse Comics shorts, because not all of them are worth reading. And I would definitely skip Strange Rue. Obviously, it's the worst thing in here. And Invaders from the Fourth Dimension. That's a stupid one-shot. It really is stupid. I don't think I got that clear over my review of it. That's a dumb one. And it would have honestly probably been the worst story in this Predator omnibus if Strange Rue didn't exist. Strange Rue just rubbed me the wrong way reading it. But a lot of the Dark Horse Presents and Dark Horse Comics shorts, they're very in general with these. It's so funny. I've read so many of them. That when I will insert, I know this is off topic, but when I insert a comic cover or I see a cover for it, I'm like, oh, I already have that on my computer because I did the Indiana Jones story that had those. I did some Alien stuff. I think there's even Star Wars stuff I've read. And I'm like, I'm getting to a point with these Dark Horse Presents and Dark Horse Comics where, because parts of them are collected in these omnibuses, I've read the whole issue, basically, which is kind of funny. So, anyway, what would I rank this omnibus overall? I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5, and I'll explain why. So, back in the day, most of the Dark Horse stuff, whether it's Predator, Aliens, AVP, it all got collected in omnibuses, starting with, I believe, AVP of all things, because this is back when Dark Horse cared about Aliens versus Predator. And they did two AVP omnibuses, five or six Aliens omnibuses, and four Predator omnibuses. And these days, those are very hard to get. And I wouldn't even recommend getting the Dark Horse versions of any of them, with the exception of AVP, because that's the only way you can get AVP, because I don't think Marvel gives two craps about reprinting AVP comics, which is a shame, because there's some good hidden gems in there that everyone's kind of been soiled with the AVP team up property because of the terrible movies and that third AVP game not being particularly great. There's been like a big don't touch this, and the only one who would touch AVP was Dark Horse. They did it every once in a while. The last story being Life and Death, that big Alien Predator Prometheus event. They did an AVP 4-issue mini for it, and I thought it was good, but it's just like people are like, ugh, Alien versus Predator. That's so dumb, and it's just unfortunate. But anyway, I ranked this one so high because it's so nice. When Marvel got the rights to Aliens and Predator, I did not expect omnibuses. Period. I didn't expect anything. They would release their new comics under the 20th Century Studios imprint, which we've talked about on the channel before. And I thought that would be it. And they probably wouldn't be that good. And I didn't care. And then they announced omnibuses. And I was like, hell yeah. And I remember they just did this one. And I was a little bummed. And I was like, okay, well, I picked this up. I pre-ordered this one, actually. I picked this one up. And I actually picked up all four Aliens omnibuses at the same time. So they did Aliens first because that makes more money, and there's more of it. And I was impressed with what they put in, because there's stuff in here that I don't think ever got collected in anything. And that's why I ranked this so high, is this is just for the hardcore Predator fans who have to have everything. This is an excellent way of getting everything. And I really mean that we live in a really good time. When it comes to collecting with the stuff that Marvel's obtained, I should say. With the exception of Indiana Jones, which is really, words cannot describe how annoying that is, that they have not attempted to make at least a Further Adventures of Indiana Jones omnibus, because quite frankly, there was so much buzz. My channel is proof enough that Indiana Jones could use Marvel omnibuses, because I've reviewed so many rarities that they're very curious about. It's nice that at least they did with Aliens and Predator. I would like more, for sure, because they didn't collect everything Predator. They skipped two stories in particular, which I'll get to in the next omnibus and talk about. One I've already reviewed many years ago. But yeah, this is great. Takes you from about 1990 to 1997. So this is 7 years worth of Predator material right here. For $125, you can find, this is still in print. You can find this on, I believe, In Stock Trades for around $77. It's not cheap, but if you're a hardcore fan, check these out. I think you can get these on Amazon too for, I think, a little under $100. I'm not sure. But I highly recommend this to hardcore Predator fans And fans of Marvel Omnibus collecting. There are those people out there that love the Marvel Omnibuses because they all look the same. I like it because it's nice. It's got a nice red spine, and this is the A cover. There is a B cover too. You can get both of them still, and I recommend either or. I just picked this one. I like the cover better. That's usually how I do it. Like I don't care about A cover versus B cover typically. Um, like with my Marvel omnibuses, I have original years Marvel omnibuses of Star Wars stuff. I have all the B covers because I think they're just a little cooler. Um, and I got a deal on them because I bought those twice, so I've owned both covers of all three of those omnibuses. So anyway, that's about all I have for today. Um, have a nice day.